Chun-Li jacket on. New kicks to call me Kim Capable. Got my bread up and nothing jigger stack it on. Bills doing keto, they ain't even stacking no out of hustling. Different continents. Foreign exchange trades and I ain't got no common sense. No features like I can't take a compliment. Committed to the game, but hard to be monogamous. Too many fish in the sea and I wanna see them. Gotta be catching up the way to be up in my DM.
Splash.
Handle my own lane, ain't got no time for BM. Already in the car, let's get BM. And all my toilet paper 2-ply. Tend to fall through when you wishing for a blue sky. And all my toilet paper 2-ply. She tend to fall through when you wishing for a blue sky. And all my toilet paper 2-ply. She tend to fall through when you wishing for a blue sky. And all my toilet paper 2-ply. Man.
Hey guys, what's going on? What's good with you? What is good? What is good? I wish a nigga could tell me what it is, what it do. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the 40 Ounce Fridays podcast, and this is episode 33. 30-fucking-3. Alright, this would have been episode 34, but shit happened last week, and we ended up not doing the podcast last week. If you didn't see it, if you're not following my my Facebook page, Art Project, go ahead and follow that. Get updates on the podcast and other stuff that I'm doing. If you didn't get that, I pretty much did a little live ramble video going on what happened and why I didn't end up recording. But to just give you the short of it, I was recording the podcast last week. I was like 20 minutes in. I was talking about how I was worried about the mail delivering packages due to the fact that we've previously had packages stolen by who we suspect to be the mailman. Then my packages showed up, but they weren't at the front door, so I started panicking and running around looking for them. For some reason, they left my packages at my grandma's door, even though they were addressed to my address with my name. But I got my stuff. So I got a new computer, a new mic, and new headphones. Hopefully you guys notice the updated quality for the audio. I don't know if it sounds bad. I don't think it sounds particularly bad. I was testing it out over the course of this last couple of days, just to make sure everything works, everything exports properly, and I can upload the files onto Podbean, because I'm going to be doing it from my computer now. So hopefully everything sounds good. The opening and ending songs that I use should also sound a lot better, since I'm just going to attach the audio files to me recording, like my podcast recorded file right here, instead of just playing it during my recording and getting the sound recorded over that. So it shouldn't sound as staticky or bad. It shouldn't sound bad at all, honestly. The thing that should sound the worst is just like my overall recording audio. I think there still might be like some kind of staticky noises in the background, shit like that, of that nature. But I don't think it's that bad. I gotta get used to this mic too. It picks up audio really well. And I think it sounds pretty nice. For the price I got, I think it's pretty decent. But sometimes it picks up audio a little too well, and a lot of unnecessary sounds get caught. So I gotta, figure out a good place to set up everything and set up the mic, so it's mainly catching my audio without catching a lot of background noise, and just find a good comfortable sitting position. Because sometimes if I move too suddenly on my I have a futon. On my futon, you can hear the noise of the fabric rubbing across the fabric when I move to sit up or adjust my seating position. But other than that, I think everything works well. So we'll be adjusting to that. Hopefully people appreciate the update and sound quality. I appreciate you guys rolling with me for those first 32 episodes where the sound quality wasn't that good. I don't know how many episodes I did off the tablet. Maybe 10 or 11. I did a good chunk of the first season episodes off my tablet. Then my tablet fucked up. My tablet works again now, I can charge it. But it's so unnecessary because it's so slow. So I'll probably find some kind of use for it, just because it can get a charge. But I won't be using it for a lot of stuff. My computer I'm going to be using for typing and recording the podcast and other things like that. But then from then on up until episode 32, 2 weeks ago, I was recording off my phone. So it was the mic that was, on the phone, catching the audio that I was recording on my phone through the Podbean app. And I was using like Bluetooth headphones for the sound stuff, so I don't think it was good. But thank you guys, the few people who do listen. Thank you guys for riding with me as long as you did. So, okay, without further delay, let's just jump into what we're going to be talking about today. I didn't really have a lot of thoughts organized. The main thing I want to do is make sure we're caught up on our UU retrospectives, because I didn't get to do episode 5 last week. So I said in that live I did on my Facebook page that I'll do episodes 5 and episode 6 this week. So I don't know how long that'll necessarily take us, but hopefully we'll get through it, get things done, and go from there. But quick news, my quick news is kind of all over the place. Pokemon Home launched at some point like last week or within the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to gather information about that. That didn't end up happening just because I've been worried about, for one, I don't use Pokemon Home, so I'm not really going to be that focused on it. 2, I've been working on getting my computer set up, getting all the necessary things I need to record, making sure the audio files that I'm exporting from this audio software, I'm using Audacity. From what I looked up online, it's decent recording stuff for free, which is my budget for it. But if you know anything better that's free at the moment, feel free to let me know. I would very much appreciate that. But what was I saying? Well, I was worried about that. And another thing happened. It's nothing I want to touch up on the podcast, really. It's like family related. It's nothing bad. It's nothing bad, but it's something really sudden that happened that came out of the blue, so it really kind of caught me off guard. So once that's settled, I probably will address it over the podcast at one point, talk about it, but a little personal story. But for now, it's still going on, so I'm not going to speak too much about it. But like all those things in combination, I haven't really been focused on Pokemon Home. So if you listen to this podcast, you play Pokemon Sword and Shield, you have Pokemon Home, let me know what you think about it. Do you think it works? Do you think it's worth the price? Is the free version any good? You know, just let me know. Hit me up. I wanna get your opinions on it, because I don't really have too strong of an opinion on it besides like the whole pricing thing, and I already kind of like talked about that, how it's like a really big double-edged sword for Nintendo, and how they should make Pokemon. My whole thing, the short part of that, I talked about it a few weeks ago, but the way I feel about it, I'm like, if you're charging people for Pokemon Home, especially as much as they're charging people for Pokemon Home, it's not that expensive, but at the end of the day, you're still charging people. Pokemon Bank should be free until, like, a certain point. Like, eventually they're going to shut Pokemon Bank down, of course, because they're moving over to the Switch. Pokemon games are going to be on the Switch. They're going to move over to more support to Pokemon Home. But until they shut Pokemon Bank down, Pokemon Bank should be free. So you can transfer your Pokemon to the paid service. So you can hold them in bank and they'll be like, hey, we're going to shut bank down in like maybe like a year or 2 or some shit like that. And get all your stuff in bank, transfer whatever you need over, and over the course of like however many years, eventually, I feel like eventually they're just going to make all the Pokemon that got cut originally like available. They added like 200 Pokemon. So I think there's like, 600 missing? So I feel like eventually, especially if they keep doing more expansions, we'll eventually get the whole national dex again. But a way you can make that more palpable to people is making bank free and then letting them transfer stuff over to home. I know in the free version, like, you can, like, I think it's like up to 30 Pokemon you can transfer, but for the paid version, it's like a lot, like a couple thousand. But we'll see how that goes. Let me know how you feel about it. We got the opening cinematic movie for the pretty much the opening to the Final Fantasy VII remake got put up online. Dude, I loved it. It, for the most part, like the second half of it, like the last like 2 minutes of it, is pretty much the Final Fantasy VII original opening. But they have a nice little like introductory part, like it's like this deserty, mountainous looking terrain and this bird flying over as it's flying towards Midgar. So you see Midgar in the distance. Then you see the city. You see it in the daytime. So you see people working, kids riding their bikes through the streets. shit like that. It was really cool to see because you never really got to see that stuff in Midgar. And though it looks like this first episode will be like pretty much kind of linear, like how Midgar was in the original FF7, because Midgar is like the first portion of the game. It's like not even first disc, it's just like the beginning of the entire game. So I can expect it. I expect it to be kind of linear in that regard, but it looks like we'll have more freedom to explore because they released some screenshots. They showed off like some of Tifa's moves, some renders of Red 13. He looks fucking fantastic, by the way. And you can do like little side mercenary missions. So I'm sure there's gonna be like some kind of fetch quest and like, oh, kill these monsters and stuff like that. But it is little details like that that do flesh out the world and maybe add a bit more story to it, considering the fact that it looks like we will be getting like, you know, new characters brought into the plot, at least in the Midgar episode. I wonder how loud that coffee is on this recording. But I think it's cool. So we got to see all that stuff, like move around, like kids playing at the little park that Eris takes you to when you first meet her and you're on your way to the wall market. So that was cool. And then it shows Aerith in the little alleyway looking at the Mako energy. And she looks like she's like hesitant, or like not hesitant, frightened by something. Like something's watching her, and she like gets up and looks around and no one's there. But she walks out onto the street, just like, you know, the original opening. Somebody bumps into her and she drops her flowers. So she, you know, kneels down to start picking them up. Somebody steps on one. Shit like that. You know, those are the little details. But then it does the zoom out of the whole fucking city of Midgar. And it's like, boom, Final Fantasy VII. It shows, chills, childhood returning. And then it does the train zoom in of Cloud on the train. Oh, man. Jesse and Biggs take out the guards. Barrett's like, "Come on, Merc," and then you come down. And I don't know if you guys are subscribed to on YouTube to a guy named I think his YouTube channel is called Maximilian Dude. I'm subscribed to it. I don't remember what it's called, but big shout outs to Max if you guys watch his content. He's great. He does mainly like, you know, FGC like content or just fighting game stuff in general. And he mainly is a streamer, but he'll post a lot of like big stream clips or his thoughts and stuff onto his YouTube as well. And big outs to him, shout outs to him. He's about to have a kid soon, so that's fucking awesome. Congrats. Max has been a part of the scene for a really long time, but he really likes Final Fantasy VII. He's gotten some time with the demo, and he was saying the demo he played, he said once you get to that part where Cloud's off the train and he jumps off the train and he, you know, places his sword in his bag and he looks confident and ready to go. He was saying once you like get to that point, the camera angle just shifts to, you know, the over the shoulder, like the third person view, like when you're playing the game. There's no like black screen loading, rendering to like lower level graphics. Like that's just how the game looks. So what we saw from that opening trailer is just the game. So that opening, once Cloud gets off the train, the camera just shifts to over like behind him, and then you're playing. And I can't confirm this because I also saw a video on YouTube. I don't know if it's like leaked per se. It said leaked. It was the bombing run, or at least a good chunk of it up until the point where you escape the explosion of the Mako reactor. And yes, that does happen. Cloud gets off the train, and then it's the over the shoulder immediate, like not the over the shoulder, but that third person camera where the camera's behind him and you're controlling the character. It's seamless, and it's like almost every single cutscene is that. That's just how it is. It's like between the transitions between the cutscenes and the actual gameplay is fucking seamless. It's like that didn't even transition. It's just like, oh, this is a cutscene. Oh, I'm playing. Like that's exactly how it is, and it's so fucking cool. I cannot wait for this game to come out April 10th. Also, we found out through box art stuff that the game is going to be 100 gigs to install. So if you're planning on getting the Final Fantasy VII Remake, just know you're gonna have to free some space up on your PlayStation. It's 100 gigs, and you know they're gonna have like some kind of patches and stuff too. So boy, My body is ready. My body is ready. I'm so pumped for it, dude. I cannot fucking wait. Cannot fucking wait. What else is going on? I think that's all I'll be talking about for quick news. And this is a weird one just because we missed last week, and I wanted to do a bunch of stuff last week, so we'll just kind of... We're playing catch-up this week, so it's a good, I guess it's a good test for the new audio and the new way of recording and editing and putting videos together. This is gonna, set me on my way for overall better podcasts and better quality for the podcast. And it's a way to play catch-up. So I think we're good on all that stuff for quick news. So how about we just jump into the UU retrospective stuff? HiK-Upp recommends... you know what? No, we're playing catch-up. I don't have recommend stuff set up. Let's just get to the UU retrospectives, because I do have thoughts on them. So we're going to do episode 5 and episode 6, both this week. And then whatever time we have left for the podcast, I'll just, shoot the shit, kind of talk about a few things I've been enjoying and doing and whatnot, all that good shit. Oh, I hit my fan. But yeah, UU retrospective. So episode 5 is the ending, the conclusion to the first arc, you would say, of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is Yusuke's ordeal to get his body back. So this episode ends that arc, and I guess you could kind of call the second half of the episode an epilogue for that arc that transitions into Yusuke becoming a spirit detective. So episode 5, Yusuke's back. So the time's about to be here for Yusuke to finally get his body back. But Koenma then informs him that there's something specific he has to do. Koenma's gonna attune his body with spirit energy so that he can get back inside. But he needs life energy as well so the body can accept him, pretty much. So Koenma informs him that the only way to do this is through kiss. So somebody has to kiss him. So Koenma says, go to the 3 people who care about you the most, enter their dreams, and let them know what's going on. His mom is almost immediately out of the picture, out of the question for this. She walks into the room, drunk as fuck, and says she's leaving to go get more booze. Yusuke's like, that bitch about to be on a bender. So she's gone. She's gone from the equation. There's no way she's getting home or falling asleep so Yusuke can get into her dreams and tell her that shit. So of course he goes to Keiko, because that's probably his best bet. And he also goes to Kuwabara, because, him and Kuwabara do have some kind of relationship, even though they're kind of this more of a one-sided rivalry. They have a close enough bond through that, as seen in previous episodes. Kuwabara is freaked out by this fucking dream, because you don't want to have a dream about your dead rival telling you, hey, come to my house and kiss my dead body, bro. Just do it. So he has a horrible nightmare about this. Kuwabara doesn't believe Yusuke came to talk to him or anything. He's just fucking uncomfortable by it. So he doesn't want to think about it. Keiko had the dream. She goes to his house to visit. That car is probably going to get on the audio too. I got to figure out a good way to record this. But I digress. Keiko goes to the house. She's just like, oh man, that couldn't have been a real dream, could it have? And Yusuke's body is all supposed to be shimmering gold when when his body's ready for the transference. But Koenma forgot to tell him it starts at the feet up. So now Keiko doesn't even notice that he's starting to glow at his feet because his feet are under the covers. So she's just like, maybe it was just a dream. But Yusuke's like, oh, she'll probably, come back to check on me again, so then she'll see it by then. So then they're not too worried. But then something happens. Keiko's mom ends up in the hospital due to, just overwork and exhaustion. But Keiko is, of course, worried about her mom, and is probably going to end up staying at the hospital all night. Yusuke does not have that kind of time. When the clock strikes midnight, it'll be too late. And then he'll have to wait for, the whole setup and the moon aligning, like the whole like requirements for this to actually work for his the spirit world and the living world like wavelengths to kind of be attuned. He'll have to wait on that again, and Koenma tells him it's going to be 52 years before this will ever happen again. So Yusuke's of course fucking panicked. He's like, yo, we did not go through all this shit just for me to have to wait another 52 years to get my body back. We have to do something. So Yusuke goes to look for Kuwabara. He's in an arcade. Of course, he's still really fucking creeped out by whatever happened in that dream and trying to ignore it. And Yusuke, like, swings at him, but of course, since Yusuke is a soul, just a spirit, he can't touch him. Kuwabara feels it, though, because he's psychically attuned, and it creeps him the fuck out again. So once again, Kuwabara's not gonna work. They try to go to his mom. His mom is at some bar with, some cross-dressers, some drag queens, if you will, getting straight hammered with them, buying them round after round and having a good time. She's not coming. So it doesn't look too good, as Koenma's telling him the clock is ticking, his body's fully shimmering gold, they just need the life energy. So Boton gets an idea. Since people are more attuned to the spirit world when they sleep and Keiko's mom is resting, Boton goes into Keiko's mom's body, possesses it, and is like, Yusuke, you have to go to him. It wasn't just a dream. Boom, Keiko's out the door. Keiko's racing to Yusuke's house. This shit is intense, and I like this episode because I like this finale. It's a very fitting, like, intensity and pacing for the finale of this said, like, little arc for Yusuke to get his body back, because Keiko and Yusuke, throughout these, like, episodes you've seen, have an extremely strong bond that goes way, way back to childhood, and definitely is a love type of bond. As Keiko's racing to his house, and Yusuke's just like, come on, come on, come on. And even like little things like Koenma saying, like, Koenma and Boton saying, like, well, what would you do if she doesn't make it in time? And he's like, oh, I guess I have to wait to 52 years and see Keiko when she's an old hag. Like the fact that he even, like, said that so, like, smugly, like, it was, like, clearly a joke, but, like, the way he said it, like, he wasn't panicked. Like, he would do that. He would wait the 52 years to get his body back to see Keiko again. So it's little things like that I really enjoy. So Keiko gets there, and you see more Keiko. She's like shuffling for the keys to his house. Oh, also Yusuke got a new house. I forgot to say that. They got some insurance money from when whoever burnt his house down burnt his fucking house down. So they got a nice new apartment somewhere. How Atsuko has such good insurance, I don't fucking know. I don't even know if Atsuko works. But anywho, Keiko finds the keys. The clock is ticking. It's less than a minute. She gets into the house. I love also how, since it's Keiko, I know it's like a lot of Japanese cultures, they take their shoes off before they get into the house. I know that whole spiel. But you would think, if you were in that big of a rush, you wouldn't be thinking about that. No. Keiko's thinking about that. So Keiko kicks her fucking shoes off before she gets into the hall and races to Yusuke's bedroom. The clock strikes midnight. She jumps over to his bed and kisses him. And you hear the, like, gong, gong of the clock striking midnight. Yusuke's spirit is racing to try to get into his body. And you're just like, fuck, did it work? I think somebody might have come home. But, you're like, damn, did it work? And it's just that kind of silence that, fuck, I don't know if he made it or not. I don't know if she made it or not. But, you know, this is only the first half of the episode. So you know he made it. But still, I really like that tension that is formed up for that arc. And I'm also, in the manga, you don't know what's going to happen when the manga was, like, being written ongoing. So I thought it was a really well-made scene. So Yusuke arises from his bed, looks at Keiko, and is like, hey, nice kiss. Just real casual, just real smug like Yusuke does. Keiko, of course, is super emotional. Yusuke's alive, she hugs him, and we get to that finale of that ordeal. So Yusuke is back on the streets, he has his body back, and everything's ending happy Yusuke at least thinks his days of dealing with the spiritual and the supernatural are done. But they are not. They are far from over. In fact, this wasn't even the beginning. This was the precursor. Botan's super excited, but Koenma shows that he has plans for Yusuke still. So then we get into the second half of episode 5, where Yusuke is actually back. Officially back on the streets. And I call this, like, this part the epilogue to the Yusuke ordeal, because this is transitioning into him becoming Spirit Detective. So, now that he's back, he got dressed, he's walking on the street, his hair's not done up, he's just, his hair's not done up until, a little greaser punk style. So he's just walking around casually, and people are like, who the fuck is that? And they're like, that guy kind of reminds me of Yusuke Urameshi, and people are like, talking about the dead. Some dudes try to come up and, like, rob him, like, mug him, like some thugs. And he's just like, whoa, you guys can actually see me and talk to me and, like, actually grab onto me and that goes through. Like, Yusuke does not care, because first of all, he could easily take these guys. But it's also more the fact that he's so, like, happy and relieved to be alive. He doesn't give a fuck about whatever they're talking about. He's like, you guys can actually see me and talk to me? Oh my god, I'm alive. Thank you. And they're just like, yo, leave that dude alone. He crazy. So, Yusuke gets into like a coffee shop or like a tea shop or something. I don't know for sure, but something like that. The coffee shops or bars or some kind of place like that, a little restaurant, a little sit down place. And a lot of people will say they hate, like, the coffee shop exposition, the restaurant, you know what I mean, when, like, characters enter a restaurant and get something to eat just to exposition dump shit on you. I think Yu Yu Hakusho is one of those few anime that do, like, a restaurant or a coffee shop scene, and they do it so well, where it's not an exposition dump. Like, it's, like, events actually unfolding. Which is something I can really appreciate, because it's something I just barely noticed, too. It's something I just barely noticed about the scene. I'm like, he walked into like a little restaurant, coffee shop place, and it wasn't like an exposition dump. But, like, on the way, he runs into a fortune teller, and they're just like, oh, there's great trials that await you ahead. Like, she knows, like, about him being dead and coming back. It's clearly, like, it's clearly Boton. Like, you can see the blue hair under, like, her whole, like, face covering get-up. It's clearly fucking Boton, and she's trying to put on a different voice, but it sounds like her, too. But Yusuke's stupid, so he's not paying attention to it. He's like, whatever, fortune teller lady, I don't have time for ordeals and future stuff. I just came back to life. So then he enters the coffee shop. I apologize. But I really like this scene because just the way that, like, they did a coffee shop scene, or Tagashi did a coffee shop scene, without doing a coffee shop exposition dump coffee shop scene, if that makes any sense. So he gets inside, and he noticed the atmosphere is real funky. Like everyone's weird. He's already attuned to that, but that's because, he's the toughest kid in the city, in the school, and everything. So he's really, really accustomed to reading a scene and knowing when there's, threats around him. Which ties into him being a spirit detective, which I think was really neat. So he takes a seat, everyone's weird, and he sees, this gang of kids, and he's like, oh, those guys are definitely from, I think they're from, like, Ruga Fuji or something like that. I think that's what the school was called. And then he sees the leader, and it's like some nerd-looking dude in a button-up shirt and glasses. It's just like, that must be, like, their little ringleader. Then Yusuke notices something. This guy has horns coming out of his head, and no one seems to be reacting to it. It's like, he's like, that's fucking weird. Like, does no one else see this? Does no one else see horns sticking out of this guy's head? Is it just me? And being Yusuke, he kind of just lets it go. He doesn't want to be involved in anything. He's like, dude, I'm just trying to enjoy my day back. And he's minding his own business, reading a book, but he's still kind of snooping, like wondering what they're doing over there. And then he overhears them talking about Kuwabara about to show up. And them like holding someone hostage. I believe they also bring up at that point too for Kuwabara, and he's just like, what? They're pressuring Kuwabara. Like he's listening in on them, and he's like, I already asked Kuwabara to go steal me some comic books. And in Yusuke's head, he's just like, Kuwabara wouldn't do that. Everyone knows Kuwabara has like this honor code. Like Kuwabara, the thing I like about him, it's like he's a delinquent, but he's like such an honorable delinquent. It's like he'll beat you up for some turf, but he's not going to a store and stealing. He's gonna pay for stuff like a good gentleman young boy should. I'm sorry I talk about Kuwabara so much, but he's my favorite. I love Kuwabara. But yeah, he's like, it goes against Kuwabara's honor code. That wouldn't happen. So Kuwabara and his homeboys show up to the shop. More tension starts building up. You're just like, dude, what the fuck? And Kuwabara's immediately like, hey, Ikachi, where are you? And it's just like, okay, so they're holding someone hostage. And the way it's set up, they make you assume it's like his girlfriend or something like that. No. So as that's building up, leader of the little punks is just like, oh, I have her. She's safe with me. Did you get what I asked you to get? And Kuwabara, like, throws the bag of comics down on the table. And like Yusuke said, Kuwabara has an honor code. So he did not steal those comics. Because the receipt's in the bag. He bought them. And Kuwabara, and the dude's just, the gang leader's really mad at him about it. He's just like, I told you to steal these. Why is there a receipt if you stole them? And Kuwabara's just like, well, what's the difference, dude? Just give me Ikachi. And the dude seems to want to spread chaos or like some kind of darkness in people. He wants people to commit crimes and evil acts. He's like, the whole point was that I wanted you to steal it for the thrill. Like, you're like buying it. That's not what I asked you to do. So then the conversation ends up leading these guys outside of the shop, like behind, to like some little grassy patch, behind like the stores, behind buildings and shit like that. So Yusuke, of course, is following. This is that little final confrontation between them, and he informs Kuwabara, like, hey, you'll get Ikachi back if you do this last thing for me. And they show Ikachi, and it's Kuwabara's pet cat. So he's like really freaked out. He's like, hey, Ikachi, put her down. And Yusuke's just like, dude, are you fucking serious? This is all because of a cat? But then things kind of get a little wild, because they're threatening the cat's life unless Kuwabara does this last act that he's asking him to. So gang leader's just like, last thing I want you to do, turn around and start punching your friends until I tell you to stop. And he's like, they've been looking at me really like mean, like they want to like, they look at Froggy. So if they want to leap, they can just get their ass beat by their main man here. So he wants Kuwabara to beat up his friends because they looked at Homeboy funny. Kuwabara, like, refuses, even though his friends are just like, dude, just do it. We don't care. Just do it. This is for you. You're our friend. And Kuwabara just can't will himself to do it because it goes against his honor code. So Kuwabara has, like, some semblance or level of honor and respect for himself. Some kind of pride that he places upon himself for situations that he never ever breaks. And yeah, Kuwabara kind of just never breaks that honor code. He's that kind of character. He sticks to his guns and his morals really well. But they're like, alright, kill the fucking cat. So one of the little cronies breaks a bottle and is about to kill the cat, and that's when Yusuke makes his official dynamic return. His hair's in his classic style. He kicks out a guy, catches the cat. He's like, yo, what's good? And everyone is just like, this nigga is alive. Gang fight starts. Everyone's throwing hands. Kuwabara is beating the shit out of some dude, throwing punches. Yusuke's knocking him down left and right. Just dude, bam, bam, bam. Yusuke's like, here, hold your cat. He gives the cat back to Kuwabara. That's the last we see of Kuwabara that episode. Yusuke starts chasing the gang leader down because that nigga ran. Yusuke trails him down the little tunnel, and Homeboy trips and gets knocked down. Well, Yusuke pretty much lays Homeboy out. And as he falls, we see the horns on his head disappear, but a little creature crawls out of his mouth. And Yusuke's like, yo, what the fuck is that? And the thing's shook that Yusuke can see him. He's like, what the fuck? And it tries to get out of there as fast as it can, but Yusuke catches it like with ease. It like holds him down, and the little demon creature can't get free. So Yusuke's just like, what the fuck is this? And then Boton in her fortune teller garb shows up and is just like, that's a demon, such and such. It's wanted for various crimes by from spirit world, this and that, and you caught it. And she's just like, you had this innate ability to track down the culprit, capture him. You got the information you needed because Yusuke's street smart. All his years of being a delinquent made him street smart enough to, like, what's this? What's going on? And this was like kind of like a test or tutorial kind of case for him, essentially, that he was able to complete. And a lot of people say Yu Yu Hakusho kind of like lost the plot with him being a detective and taking cases. And that's something I disagree with, because I think he did plenty of cases. I think it's just the fact that the Dark Tournament wasn't a case. They were forced there against their will, and it was a tournament. And since it was so long, people are like, from then on, they didn't have any more cases. But I'm like, Chapter Black was a whole case. That was an entire case. They made an entire main arc a case. And it's the final case they have, because essentially after that, during the Three Kings arc, Yusuke's fired. So at that point, he's no longer a spirit detective. So there's only like 2 parts in the story, 3 if you count the ordeal, the first the first 4.5 episodes. There's only like, in terms of major parts, there's only like 2 major parts in the entire story of Yu Yu Hakusho where they're not on a case. Every other like arc, every other thing they're doing is a case. Like, I think people forget that was kind of like the tutorial case. Then you had like the 3 monsters that's coming up next, which is his first official case. The Genkai like tournament thing, he was looking for the demon rando, that was a case. Forsaken Beast, the stronghold to get Yukina, and Chapter Black. So that's like 7 things right there. Those 7 arcs right there, plus like the 3 that weren't cases. So out of like the 10 like things you could call arcs in Yu Yu Hakusho, 7 of them were cases. So I was kind of like, what do you mean? They went on cases. They went on plenty. It's just the fact that the Dark Tournament is the more popular arc in the series. So people remember that, and it's long. The Dark Tournament arc is hella fucking long. It's like almost 40 episodes, I think. And Yu Yu Hakusho is 112. And then you have the Three Kings arc, which is the conclusion to the story, but he's no longer spirit detective. So, little side rant aside, I'm just saying, like, most of the arcs in Yu Yu Hakusho are cases. But, anywho, they see that he has the natural talent to become a spirit detective. So that's when he's officially assigned the job. Boton reveals herself to be Boton, who she obviously was. And at the end of this little epilogue, we finally get into Yusuke finally being hired on as spirit detective. So that was episode 5. I really, really like episode 5. I think, in terms of like me being like objective in looking at the series, I think episode 1 and episode 5 are the best parts of the whole Yusuke ordeal arc. If we're talking like my favorite episode 3, the whole thing with Kuwabara. And then I think, personally for me, the weakest of those first 5 episodes is episode 4, Requirements for Love. But I don't think that episode is bad. I just think it's the weakest of the 5. And then episode 2 is really good, but the reason why it like is also very good is because it banks off of episode 1. They go kind of hand in hand. That's why I say episode 1 and episode 5 are like the best, because I really like the conclusion to Yusuke getting his body back. It had a really good, strong sense of finality to it. Like, okay, that arc is done, and that arc is concluded, everything's wrapped up with that, and Yusuke got his life back. And it was enjoyable, it was a fun time. Clearly it was, because Yu Yu Hakusho is considered one of those classic, really great battle shonen, and the first, like, arc of that series isn't even a battle arc. So, I think that goes to show that Yu Yu Hakusho just has some really great writing. But also the second half of episode 5, this little epilogue where you get kind of like this pseudo case going, and you just like, I feel like it's the perfect transition from Yusuke being the spirit, wandering around trying to do good deeds and help his like close ones from while he's in the afterlife with their problems so he can get his life back. And now we're transitioning into him being on the streets, fighting demons and solving cases, and this is where we get into the battle-heavy portion of the story, which is pretty much the rest of the series. Chapter Black, I'd argue, is like kind of like a 50-50 between that, but like here up until Chapter Black, it's very battle-heavy, and this is what helped Yu Yu Hakusho become so explosively popular. Like, that writing was like a really great setup into these characters, and now we just get to see them grow and change, and we get like some of the coolest fights in anime, in my personal opinion. For like an old school anime like this, Yu Yu Hakusho has some great fucking fights, dude. Ugh, so good. So good. I love almost every single fight in the show. I would argue I love every single fight in the show. Fantastic. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Now we're moving into episode 6, 3 Monsters. So this is the start of Yusuke's first official case as Earth's spirit detective. So we get to the start of the episode. It shows Spirit World, some kind of vault or some kind of place in Spirit World where guards are knocked out, sirens are blaring. There's like these 3 dudes stealing stuff, and one of them, the biggest one, is being told like, come on, we gotta go, and he's like, okay. And they run out, but they're like cloaked in shadow, and somebody's like, somebody get the French force on, somebody get like, you know, the security on board right now. They stole all 3 of them. So you're just like, well, what the fuck is happening? That's like the start of the episode. Like, some kind of robbery has been committed, and you can kind of deduce that it was a robbery taking place in Spirit World. So now you're just like, what happened, and what 3 things that they take. So that's the start of the episode. We then transition to Yusuke back on the streets. It's his first day back. He wakes up because his mom's just like, Yusuke, wake up, please. And because she's worried that, you know, that he'll die and leave her again. And she was an emotional wreck when he first died. And I guess she's been doing that a lot lately, because he's just like, dude, again, come on, I told you I'm fine. But, you know, it's a sense of like, she cares, and it's like, I guess this is better than me being dead. So then he's on his way to school. He hears these school kids talking. One of them got this new like little special fountain pen. And I was watching this episode, and I don't think I ever really like thought too much about this one character's dialogue. I'm watching it dubbed. I've watched it subbed and dubbed, but I just prefer the dub. I don't think the sub is bad. I think the audio quality of the sub is a little weak, but that's just because it's older, and there's probably a bunch of other issues while it was airing. But the sub is great. Great voice actors in the sub. But I just prefer the dub. That's the one I grew up on. And in sub versus dub arguments aside, like, this dub is... Yu Yu Hakusho's dub is fantastic. It's one of the best English dubs in anime to this day. And that goes... that says a lot, because a lot of older dubs were not very good. So, good on Yu Yu Hakusho for being very, very accurate. But this guy's line, the way he delivers it... Because he got this pen, and I guess it's really rare and meant to bring good luck. And he's like, yeah, I got it from my uncle who died. Like, the line, it's some kind of line like that. Like, his uncle passed away, and like he left that pen to him in his will. But the way he said it was so just like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, my uncle died, and I got this cool pen. It was just like, what a douche. That's all I can think about in my head. But they're talking, and they bring up, like, man, good thing Yusuke's dead. He probably, like, take it from you and sell it or turn it into a weapon. And then Yusuke shows up behind him, and he's like, yo, what's up? What we talking about? They freak out, because this nigga's supposed to be dead. They probably went to his wake in that first episode, so they're just like, yo, there's no fucking way that this man is alive right now. So we kind of get this little joke. The kids are scared, they run away, because it's Yusuke, and he's alive, so they run off. Yusuke, you know, does the little classic anime, oh, I fell on my face kind of thing, caught off guard. Just, you know, classic anime stuff. So, going off that still, Yusuke, you know, falls off his face, Keiko shows up, she's just like, well, you should already know that these guys already didn't think too highly of you to begin with. you know, she's being Keiko's being Keiko. Kuwabara and his thugs show up. He does classic Kuwabara threats. It's just like, hey man, I hear you. Being alive's a drag. But you won't be for long. You're like shit like that. He's thinking about, you know, skipping class because he doesn't want to be here today. And, okay, I fuck up the teachers' names. I mix them up. I always forget them. Iwamoto is a bad teacher. The teacher with the glasses. Iwamoto, fuck that guy. I kept referring to, I believe his name is Takanawa, as Iwamoto. The big burly dude, like oh, Yusuke, I just want you to do good in school. I believe that's his name. My bad for mixing them up. I always mix those. The teachers' names I always mix up. I always mix them up. Because they're only in those early episodes, for the most part. So I never really remember their names clearly enough. But yeah, I believe big dude, good teacher, Takanawa. And then evil teacher, not the rat face one. I forget the rat face one. Fuck that guy. I don't think we ever see that nigga again, honestly. After that whole Kuwabara episode. But, Iwamoto is the one with the glasses, the one that's just like, you're a meshi, it's a disease to this school. But, anywho, Takanawa's like, I expect to see you in class since you're back, da-da-da-da-da. So school day's going like normal. It gets to gym class, and Yusuke's like, I ain't trying to go to gym class. So he skips it, and then we get like this little thing of him on the roof, and he pulls out this little item, and it flashes back to the night before. Boton has him meet up with her that night to give him what is one of 7 of Yusuke's special spirit detective tools, the psychic spyglass. Now, the spirit detective tools are one of the, I don't want to say dropped plot points, but they're one of the plot points in the show that kind of become a little insignificant in terms of the grand, like, scheme of the whole plot, you know what I mean? Just as the further the series goes, the less we see them. We kind of see like a couple in the beginning, then we see a few more at the start of Chapter Black, and then that's it. We never see them again. So they're cool, and I'm glad like they were brought up again during Chapter Black, because that was kind of the time. If you're going to use them again, Chapter Black would be like the best time in the series to use them again, to bring them back up. But anywho, I like the spirit detective tools. I think Tagashi didn't plan that exact direction the series got taken, you know, due to like his health and things of that nature. So he probably planned to use those more often than they ended up using at the end product. But, you know, they got some love. I don't even think we saw 7. I think we only saw, like, at most 5 or 6 of them. We might have seen all 7, like, maybe in the manga or something like that. I'd have to go back and reread. But, Psychic Spyglass, Boton explains to him that, you know, use spirit energy with it. You can see through walls, bookshelves, casings, clothes. So Yusuke immediately tries to look through her robe, and Boton smacks him for it. But we got that little scene, and so he's thinking about that. Gym class ends, so everyone's back in class, and then everyone's just like, oh, the nerd kid's like, my pen, my dragon fountain pen, it's gone, and then somebody else had something taken. Blah, 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 blah. A bunch of people in Yusuke's class had a bunch of their things, like, stolen while they were all gone in gym. So Yusuke comes back. Yusuke didn't go to gym class. Though we all know Yusuke was on the rooftop. They think, like, oh, while we were all out in gym, Yusuke, being the thug he is, robbed us. And Yusuke, like, comes up. He shows up to class late, too. Like, he's the last one back. And so it doesn't look good. It's just like, what y'all all staring at me for? And so then the scene transitions to the teachers, like, the teachers' offices, like, in the back. And Iwamoto is just smacking Yusuke up. Like, well, you little punk, you stole all their stuff, didn't you? And I guess back then in Japan it was okay to just slap a student across the fucking jaw. Like, god damn. He was hitting this nigga. And Yusuke couldn't hit him back because he would get expelled. Which I think is some bullshit. So this teacher could just smack Yusuke up. But if Yusuke touches him, it's automatic expulsion. Times are different. I'm glad I don't live in the days of teachers just being able to slap the shit out of you. Jesus Christ, with no consequence. But anywho, Takanawa's just like, you better have a good reason to be hitting him. And then he's just like, he was stealing items for the other students, and Yusuke was just like, no, I wouldn't. Like, Yusuke honestly wasn't. That's the crazy part too. And then Iwamoto makes a comment about his mom. He's like, he probably like stole it from them while they were all gone on, gym or lunch or whatever. Probably learned it from his tramp mother. And that sets Yusuke off. It's just like, yo, nigga, you can beat on me, call me whatever you want. Don't be talking about my mama like that. And I just have to say, as a personal note for me, I feel that. I feel that deep in my soul. I've been in situations where I kind of, just turn the other cheek, let shit go when someone's talking bad about me or doing, in my face. The moment you start talking shit about my mom, is on, bro. Don't speak bad about my mom. And I think a lot of people can agree to the fact that, like, somebody talk about your mama, they getting their ass beat. That's just life. I don't fuck with your mama jokes, bro. I just fuck you up over a your mama joke. But Yusuke is just about ready to whoop this nigga ass. And everything stops. Like, time pauses. This is weird for me just because Koenma does this shit once. This is the only fucking time in all of Yu Yu Hakusho this is done. And I feel like Togashi either forgot that he allowed Koenma to do this, or he just dropped the plot point. Maybe he intended to use something like that again. I don't know if it was the situation. But, like, time pauses, except for Yusuke and Koenma. Koenma pulled off a time stop that would make Dio shit himself. That's how ridiculous it was. And he's just like, Yusuke, they stole the items. They stole these spirit items. These criminals robbed us, and now they're gonna wreak havoc on the living world. And Koenma's panicked. Kurama is like fucking freaking out. Like, he's just like, yo, the fate of the world is at stake. You need to get on this case. And Yusuke, being Yusuke, is like, I don't give a fuck about that. I have my own issues to solve right now. This nigga called me a thief. He's lying. Talking bad about my mama. Did I mention he talked bad about my mama? Like, Yusuke doesn't care. Like, the fate of the world is at stake, and Yusuke doesn't care. Which is something I find really cool about his character. Not the fact that he doesn't give a fuck about the world, but the fact that, like, over time he does start to give a little bit more of a fuck. And then, his character shifts and changes, and then we see him not give a fuck because it's just Yusuke's nature and this and that. And I just thought it was really cool. Like, that's stuff for later, but, like, it's nice to think about these little moments like that, about Yusuke's personality and how he feels about his job. And, thinking about it now, and then we can reflect on that later in the series when we get to those later episodes. But Koenma's just like, okay, if that's all you need to do, say no more, fam. Pull out your psychic spyglass. This nigga was the one that robbed them in the first place. So Yusuke uses the psychic spyglass and sees in Iwamoto's pocket all the fucking items stolen from the class. So Iwamoto went into this class, took all their shit, and then tried to blame it on Yusuke to beat on him, get Yusuke mad so he could hit Iwamoto, and then they could expel Yusuke. What kind of nefarious, evil, fucking wacky race cartoon plot is that? I don't fucking know. Iwamoto is fucking evil incarnate. That is the most evil fucking dastardly villain in the entire series. Toguro, Sensui, they ain't got shit on this nigga Iwamoto. I'm just saying. But so time goes back to normal. Yusuke, grabs Iwamoto, reaches into his pocket, pulls out the stolen items. Iwamoto's like, he must have slipped them into my pocket when we weren't looking, and he tries to, like, run off, and Takanawa's just like, no, wait a minute, Iwamoto. So they're leaving, and Koenma's like, okay, so we can get to this case, right? And Yusuke's like, no, I need to give this nigga some payback. And Koenma's like joking, he's like, well, attack him invisibly. And then Yusuke's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So this is when we get the debut of Yusuke's signature move, the classic spirit gun. If you read the manga or watched it subbed, the ray gun, as Japanese Yusuke would call it. But we learn the basics of the spirit gun and how it is performed. By focusing your spirit energy and channeling it into your index finger, you can fire a blast of spirit energy that can't be seen by, you know, normal people. They gotta be spiritually aware. So, Yusuke fires off his first spirit gun. It's not that big, guys. As you know, if you've watched Yu Yu Hakusho or read it before, you already know that the spirit gun starts off as like a beam of energy, kind of looking like the Dodonpa from Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball series, the one that Tien and Chaozu use. It kind of looks like that, like a little beam, but as Yusuke gets stronger, it develops and kind of looks more like bullets and then giant blast of spirit energy. So you kind of see more of that as Yusuke progresses, but you know, this is his first one, so he fires the spirit gun. He doesn't say spirit gun yet. It's not his classic line yet, but beam goes over the shoulder of Takanawa and then hits Iwamoto in the back. Doesn't kill him because Yusuke's not strong enough yet, so all that spirit energy gathered up is enough to, you know, hit Iwamoto in the back, leave a little smoke on his jacket and knock him out. But that's about it. So Takanawa doesn't know what happened because he can't see the spirit energy. So he's just like, Iwamoto, what happened? Are you alright? And Yusuke's like, yo, that shit is dope. Then Koenma conveniently tells him, yeah, that shit cool, but since you starting off and you kind of weak, bro, you're gonna use that motherfucking move once a day. so Yusuke is told from the jump that since his spirit energy is so low, he can only shoot one spirit gun blast per day. Then he has to let his body recharge for a day before he can do it again. So now he's on the case. He learns that these three demons have stolen these items from Spirit World that were forged in darkness, and do exist to balance out, you know, the forces of good and evil, life and death, and things like that. But in the wrong hands, they could cause destruction to the world of the living. So we have the Shadow Sword. Anything it cuts turns into like a monster or a demon that the wielder of the Shadow Sword can control. The Orb of Bast, which sucks the souls out from children. That is what Koenma literally said. Not like, oh yeah, it sucks people's souls out. It sucks the souls out of children. That's some evil shit. Why is that necessary to balance out life and death? I don't know. But and then the Forlorn Hope, a mirror that grants the user any wish during the night of a full moon. So Yusuke has to get these items back from these three demons. So Yusuke goes up to Uptown because it's the only clue Koenma was able to give him. And he starts searching. Meanwhile, Koenma's back at Spirit World, getting a rundown on the information they have on these three criminals, which is not a lot. Absolutely nothing is known about Kurama. Absolutely nothing is known about Hiei besides the fact that Hiei is a loner and a cutthroat. And there's a lot of stuff known about Goki. So I think we know who the weakest link in the group was. Also, Goki wasn't in the opening, bro, so you know you're not getting a lot of spotlight if you're not in the opening. You know who was in the opening? Yeah, Kurama. But if you're reading this, yeah, you're just like, okay. So Goki's like your run-of-the-mill criminal. He has a lot of 12 convictions. He's killed his last 12 convictions, killed his last 10 pursuers, and he likes to be violent. So that's about it. That's all we know. So Boton storms in. She's fucking salted. She's just like, yo, bro, what the fuck? You're gonna let Yusuke just go out on this case like this with no training? And that's when Koenma brings the whole, like, severity of the situation down. It's just like, I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't so urgent. And he also only has a week to do this, due to the fact that Koenma's dad, King Yema, is coming back from vacation in about a week. So, if King Yema comes back, they kind of do this whole joke of, like, you know, dark ages in the world, and, like, the world ending, and, like, all different kinds of myths that Boton's like, will he be that mad even if you explain it to him. And Koenma's like, you know how my dad is. It's all fire and brimstone with him. So I guess it's implied in the world of Yu Hakusho that any, like, huge worldwide disaster in the world of the living, or, like, world-ending kind of thing in the world of the living that's happened, is because King Yama is fucking pissed. That is the only reason why it's happened. That's at least my headcanon and what I inferred from that line. It's just like, every time a near world-ending event has happened in the world, like Ice Age, meteor that hit the dinosaurs, all that shit, King Yama was mad and threw a tantrum. That's why it happened. So that's kind of terrifying, that King Yama would, you know, would fuck up the earth just because he was salty. But that's what it is. So Yusuke manages to find Goki, follows him through, like, the shady downtown, beating some thugs up on the way, and finds him in a forest. And it's raining out, and Yusuke's like, man, the rain's gonna cover up his tracks. Good little detective note. But the thing I always found weird about... I like this episode. I'm making fun of it because I really like Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, the orb of boss takes souls from children. But it's just like, evil is as evil does. But the one thing that really, like, makes me weird about this episode, the one thing I'm just like, why the fuck? It's raining out in the forest, right? Yusuke even notes that, like, man, this is going to cover up his tracks. How am I going to find this guy? Because I guess he's not super good at sensing spirit energy yet. He's not that spiritually aware, even though he can see the spirits and the demons. He can't really feel them out. In the middle of this forest, this tree-covered forest in the pouring rain, there's, like, this column of, like, shiny, greenish, blue glowing light far out into the forest, and it's not raining there. So, clearly that's where they're fucking... I don't know why. Maybe the dub didn't explain it, or maybe the anime doesn't explain it. Like I said, I haven't read the manga in a really long time. I want to reread it. I actually want to buy the manga volume so I can own them. That'd be really cool. But it was just weird. It was just fucking weird. I always thought it was weird. I was just like, why? Why is that there? What is the point of it? And the way it vanishes too, I'm just like, I still don't get it. So it goes to that scene where they're at, and Hiei, Kurama, and Goki are yucking it up. Hiei's, like, practicing with the Sword of Shadows. He cuts a tree and the tree turns into a demon. And he's like, imagine what this will do on humans. Hiei was an evil motherfucker. And I feel like the only reason why it was easier to play Hiei off until, like, more of a good guy, because in the original manga, Hiei was supposed to be a one-off villain. Togashi has already said that. Like, Hiei was only supposed to be there for that part in the story, which is why he looked so monstrous and, like, his little eye covered for him. But he was so popular that he ended up staying around and became a main character, which is cool. So for all you Hiei lovers out there, pat yourselves on the back, because you're kind of the reason Hiei became a main character. But I think one of the main reasons why he was able to play it off so well and make Hiei the character he ends up being by the end of the series and throughout the show is because Hiei doesn't have a lot of lines during this arc, because this arc is only like 3 episodes long. So he talks in this one, and I think he talks a bit at the end of the second one, and then there's the encounter in the finale part. So Hiei might be more of, like, from Yusuke's point of view, Hiei's coming off more evil and twisted than he actually is, because he has the advantage and the overwhelming power. Whereas Hiei in reality is very stoic, very, like, quiet and cold. He's still kind of like an evil douche and becomes a little more soft-hearted while hanging out with the team. But I feel like he was able to play that off really, really well, as opposed to, like, let's say he had as much screen time being an evil douche as Vegeta. It would take a lot more time to do. And I mean, Vegeta's arc in becoming a full-fledged good guy is the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. Like, Vegeta is not officially a good guy until the end of, like, the Buu arc. Like, he's kind of, like, there throughout the Cell arc because he's like, we gotta get rid of this so then I can get my fight with Goku. So, it's kind of like, you know, that's that aside. So they're talking, Goki's just like, I know how we would feed that demon army with the orb of boss, and then he is like, and with the forlorn hope that Kurama got, we can get unlimited power once the full moon comes. And Kurama's like, yes, but actually, no. I'm gonna go. Like, Kurama's like, thanks. I needed this mirror. I need to do something, so I'm bounce. And one thing I noticed about this episode again, or something else I noticed about this episode that I find really funny, is that Goki tries to stop Kurama. Right? Goki's like, yo, you can't just dip out when we this deep in the game. And Kurama's like, I gotta go. So Goki's like, nah, you gotta come up off that mirror if you're trying to leave, bro. And Kurama was just like, no, I need this. Goodbye. So then Goki is about to swing on Kurama, and then that's when Yusuke shows up and interrupts everything. Had Yusuke not shown up, Goki would have been fucking dead. I promise you. There's no way Goki would have touched Kurama. Like, there's no fucking... Like, I was thinking about it, I was like, dude, Kurama would have fucking obliterated Goki with ease. And Hiei would have watched it happen. Hiei would have been like, well, that's your own dumbass fault, stupid. Like, Hiei knows how powerful and how deadly Kurama is, even at that point, because they know each other, they go back. But Goki doesn't. Goki's like, you know, you're run-of-the-mill criminal. So Goki almost played himself, so he should thank himself that Kurama didn't split him into pieces. Or he should thank Yusuke that Kurama didn't split him into pieces. So Yusuke shows up, he interrupts, you know, Yusuke being smug, and Kurama takes that opportunity to dip out. Hiei chases after him, leaving Yusuke and Goki to talk it out. So they have a little, you know, banter exchange. Yusuke's like, oh, okay, if you're gonna rip my head off, at least don't pull my hair. You know, classic Yusuke. And Goki's like, hey, before we throw down, I need a little snack. So Goki pulls out the Orb of Boss and pulls a soul out from it. Granted, earlier when Yusuke was searching Uptown for this dude, a child, like, suddenly collapsed. And it fucking looked like his soul was gone from his body. And that's how Yusuke was tracking Goki. He followed the soul all the way to where Goki was, and then he started following Goki. So, Goki pulls out this Orb of Boss, and he starts talking about how hard it is to eat souls usually, because you gotta cook them, and if you don't cook them right, they don't taste as good, da-da-da-da-da. But he's like, with the Orb of Boss, I can just take the soul raw in its purest form, and it's delicious. And this pisses Yusuke off, because it's just like, dude, that's a fucking child. So Yusuke runs up on him, and in that classic just Yusuke fashion, pummels him. Like, knees him in the gut, gets him to spit up the soul he just ate, and then punches him down to the ground. Orb of Boss falls on the floor, Yusuke goes to pick it up, and he watches the soul wander back to the child's body. So, Yusuke's like, alright, that's one down. Let's go home, let's work it out. No. We got a few more minutes left in the episode. Goki suddenly gets up and is behind Yusuke, and he's like, hey, you know, that wasn't bad for a human. And Yusuke is like shocked. He's used to, you know, laying dudes out like his whole life. Yusuke's used to just beating somebody up, them hitting the ground, and them not getting up. I feel like the only person that's probably been able to do that is maybe Kuwabara, but Kuwabara's known for taking a beating, so he's not okay with this. And it's not like Goki like struggled to get up. Goki was just on his feet and suddenly behind him. Then Goki laughs, flexes, rips his shirt apart, and transforms into his true form, which is a soul-sucking ogre. I forget the full term. I think his name, Goki, is just the class of ogre he is. They're called Gokis, or something like that. But this gives him increased strength and speed and durability, so he smacks Yusuke with his like big ogre claw and slashes across Yusuke's skull clothes. Then he rips a fucking tree trunk out from the ground. Or not a tree trunk, a tree out from the ground and just smacks Yusuke with it. So Yusuke's on the ground, struggling to get up, as he's like, fuck, dude, what am I gonna do? And he wants to try the spirit gun, but he forgot that he already used it today, And Koenma's words echoed through his head like Professor Oak. You can only fire the spirit gun once a fucking day. So Yusuke's kind of shit out of luck and out of options at this point. And at the end of the episode, we see Yusuke just looking up in fear at Goki, and he's like, man, I'm gonna die again. And that's the end of the episode. Now, this is really suspenseful, but one thing that I hate, a lot of animes do this, but like, I'm talking about Yu Yu Hakusho right now. So the one thing I hate about Yu Yu Hakusho in regards to like the way its anime is set up, the next episode previews hella spoiler shit that happen next time. Like, stop. Don't do that. Don't even have next episode previews if you're gonna be that heavy on spoilers. It pretty much all but confirms that somehow Yusuke gets around Goki and then has to encounter Kurama. They don't tell you how, which is a good thing. And they don't tell you that he actually loses that first round fight. Spoilers for here. I mean, if you were planning on not getting spoiled for the Yu Yu retrospective, I feel like you should just be watching Yu Yu Hakusho. 1 episode a week. Then you can come here, listen to me talk about it, we can discuss and digest. But I hate that it spoiled that, because I really like the way that episode ended, because this is Yusuke's first official case, and he's already taken L's. Like, one thing, I'm not saying this is like something only Yu Yu Hakusho as a shonen has done, or even like this is one thing only Yu Yu Hakusho had done in a shonen at its time. Like, other shonens have done it, but it's kind of a rarity. Having the character take losses, like the main character takes several losses. I think we see a lot of shonen, like especially a more mainstream shonen, where the main character doesn't really lose. He always, like, at the end of the day, finds a way to persevere. But there are those shonens where they take L's, and people always say, well, Yusuke always wins with the power of friendship. I'm like, yeah, at the end of the day, after some training and a power boost he does. Because do you remember the first time Ichigo encountered Byakuya? He got one fucking shot at it. He was like, I made you lose your Soul Reaper powers. And then Yusuke had to train. Not Yusuke, Ichigo had to train to get it back. People are gonna be like, see, Bleach did rip off Yu Yu Hakusho, you're getting them confused. There's this thing in the Yu Yu Hakusho anime community, or the Yu Yu Hakusho community in general, where people are just like, Bleach ripped off Yu Yu Hakusho. No, it fucking didn't. Stop. I'll talk about that another time. I only bring up Bleach now because, like I said, I've said it before, I've been rewatching it. Just a little slower now, just because I'm busy with stuff, and I gotta do playing games, Yu Yu retrospective, writing, this and that. But whenever I'm like have some time to sit down, I'll like chill out, watch a couple episodes. Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho are nothing alike past like base story elements, I guess. And like when I say base story elements, I mean like supernatural shit. But other than that, they're not really similar at all. But anywho, like I was getting at, I like those series where the protagonist has to struggle. Like Yusuke's like, in a sense, naturally talented. He's a naturally talented delinquent, and he hasn't really had to struggle in a fist fight, really, I would say, at all in his life, or for the large majority of it. So seeing that happen, like him lay Goki out on the floor, and then Goki's just up and then even more powerful than he was before, I think is like a bit of a shock and kind of like a reality check for Yusuke. Like, this shit is serious. Like, he already knew it was serious, but it's like, fuck, I can't just pummel my way out of this. I have to actually, like, beef up, know their weaknesses, figure out a way to get around this. And Yusuke is taking an L. So I really like the way the episode ended. I just hate the fact how the next episode preview kind of just spoils that, oh yeah, he wins. You know, it's expected of a main character, even if he does lose at first, and come back and eventually win. But, I don't know, I feel like they shouldn't have done that. But, overall, I like this episode. This arc, this first case, I feel like is a good introduction for Yusuke being a spirit detective, and a good introduction for what the viewers, what we should expect from the series as it goes along. There's going to be, like, different supernatural abilities, different supernatural items, and these different kinds of demons with different kind of powers that lead into different kinds of fights and confrontations and ways to try to get around them. But I always love that fact about Yu Yu Hakusho, that Yusuke had to struggle to beat enemies. Like, he didn't beat every villain first try. He took, mainly the main ones he didn't beat first try, like, you know, like Toguro or Sensui. He did not win the first 2 times, but third time's the charm for him. And even at the end of the series, like, with the fight with Yomi, like, you know what I mean, like, shit like that. I really like the fact that Yu Yu Hakusho formed itself that way. But the fights are really good, and the development's really good. But overall, yeah, episode 6, good start to this new arc and this new step in the series. And I do like the cliffhanger because it keeps you guessing. And now that it's shifted into more of a battle shonen, people are going to want to watch every week and be like, oh, what's going to happen to Yusuke? How is he going to win? What is he going to do to beat him up? Like this and that. So now you're more invested into the fight because you're already invested into the character. And that's why I like the Ordeal arc as well, because those 5 episodes gave us good insight into Yusuke's character, some basics into Keiko's character, and some basics into Kuwabara's character, who are all going to play major roles. And Boton and Koenma too. So, you know, you get all that flavor. And then now we're introduced to Kurama and Hiei, who are going to round out our general cast of characters that people will mainly be seeing. Our team, and then, you know, Koenma, Boton, Keiko as, like, the kind of like the background of support group. But, I mean, there's still Shizune and Yukina, but they're kind of lesser supporters as opposed in comparison to how much screen time they get in comparison to Keiko, Boton, and Koenma. And then Genkai shows up, but Genkai's like, she plays the master role. She's everyone's like grandma in that group. So yeah, so next week we'll be discussing episode 7, where Yusuke finds a way to get around Goku after taking that first loss, and then we have the second half of the episode, which involves Kurama, which is a non-shonen part, because which kind of you would think would mess up the pacing, but no, it actually worked really well, just because Kurama is more of a thinker rather than a fighter. But if he has to fight and get nasty, he's gonna whoop your ass. But I'm glad they like save it for the Forcing Beast arc, because then you're not thinking that way about Kurama. You're like, okay, well, maybe Kurama's not really like a battle-oriented demon. He's more into like intelligence and strats, which he is. But when it comes to combat, Hiei even said he's more cold-blooded and calculated than me. He says that during the Forcing Beast arc. So I like that they kind of like have you wait to see what Kurama is really capable of. So that's going to be next week. And that was pretty much the episode. The podcast this week. We just talked about Yu Yu Hakusho. And I think I'll just end it here because I feel like that was good. Next week, I want to finally talk about Keep Your Hands Off Izoken. Now that I'm caught up on that show, I'm probably 1 episode behind now, but I just have to watch that 1 episode. And I'm caught up on that show. I understand the concept, the characters. I have a full like grasp. I've seen it. I really enjoy it. I want to talk about it with you guys because I think it's a really good show, and it's probably my favorite show so far this year. So I'm going to talk about Keep Your Hands Off Izoken. We'll be back on track with the retrospective, so we'll just do episode 7. I'll have a better quick news setup, hopefully, and then I'll have some HiK-Upp recommends set up too. So we'll be back to our normal structure next week for episode 34. I'll take whatever feedback you guys give me about this new recording setup for the audio. And if you guys have any tips on how to get kind of rid of like certain background noises and just keep my main mic audio for my voice, I mean, excuse me, let me know. I'll take all tips. I'm getting used to this. I'm still new to it. But I think the new setup is cool, and we're adjusting to it. And I pretty much got the new podcast structure set and kind of down right. So I think that's about it. I think that's all we got to talk about. So go ahead and support Art Project on Facebook. Art Project is capital ART for art, and then the capital P for project. So you'll see it. The profile picture is a bunch of drawn characters. They're all black people. You'll see it all, and it'll say Art Project in the center of that profile picture. And Drawings were done by the wonderful Chiara Martinelli. I believe that's how I pronounce her name. Chiara, she's great. And then link to more of her work is in like the little photo album I left up on the page. So if you want to see more of her work and try to get in contact with her and get commissions from her as well, go ahead and do that, man. She's great. I might want to ask her to do some artwork for some other stuff, for like other story plans I have besides Another Random Tale. And Another Random Tale, we're still working on the comic. It's just a slow process. It's more of like right now we're rolling the ball to the top of the hill. And then once we get those test chapters out, that's the ball at the top of the hill. And then it's downhill from there of like that momentum, I feel. So we'll get there. So I'll keep you guys posted on that stuff too. But thanks for supporting the podcast. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for all the love and support, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you guys next week for Keep Your Hands Off Izokin, my thoughts, and what I think about the show. Spoilers, I love it. And, you know, other nerd stuff that I talk and ramble and rant about. So, thanks, guys. I'll catch you next week, and bye.
That booty, wow, spectacular. Gotta stand in the corner, the way them cheeks be acting up. So much junk in the trunk, wonder what she packing for. Anytime you hit, she backing up, moving like some gelatin. Can't control the skeleton. Mouth open like a pelican, and no, it ain't my fault. I swear that ass control my thoughts. It's taking me on your money, can't believe the shit I bought. Had to rob my freaking grandma just to cover what I lost. That booty be squeezing out of them thigh highs like some toothpaste. She know what she doing when she been